Chapter 19. Max entered the back room in an attempt to avoid customers. With all the craziness in town, the store was filled to the brim with people wanting to stock up on supplies. And of course, East wasn't here to give him insight on the whole ordeal. I should have put in for vacation, he thought. I heard Mackinac Island is pretty good this time of year. He looked for something that could keep him busy enough for the managers not to make him work up front. As he walked, he felt a lump under his foot. What the fuck? He looked down and saw that he stepped on somebody's wallet. Without thinking, he reached down and picked it up. Curious about who the owner was, he opened and checked the ID. Mike Andrews. Andrews. Isn't that the guy East was talking about at the funeral? Max thought. That's when he noticed the blood. Holy shit! The wallet hit the floor and he saw what looked like a trail of blood leading to the receiving area. Against his better judgment, Max followed the trail. He followed it all the way to a spot they called the hole in the wall, where everyone dumped their trash at the end of the day. The metal doors were bloodstained, and it seemed that the source of the blood was behind the pile of trash that surrounded the hole in the wall. Max cautiously moved the trash and immediately regretted it. Slumped over was the lower half of a grown man. Best thing you can do is run. Those words rang in Rusty's head as she drove down the street. She thought to herself why she was running instead of staying to face this. Then she remembered what the stakes were and what she just learned. The man who raised her wasn't her real father, and apparently her real father was a bad man going around town asking about her. She took a split second to look at her phone to see if East sent her anything. She texted him to let him know what was happening. They made a plan that East would track her using Find My iPhone. As an extra precaution, she bought an AirTag and kept it in her pocket. This is so fucked up, she told herself. The ring of her phone caused Rusty to take her eyes off the road. In that split second, something was thrown at her car. Her tires popped, causing her to swerve and land into a ditch. The airbag practically sucker punched her in the face. She took a minute to collect herself before stepping out of her car to inspect the damage. Given that she didn't know much about auto mechanics, she already knew that she was screwed. "You okay there, miss?" A voice caught her off guard, followed by a man approaching her out of nowhere. He had long hair, a goatee, and gold irises. "Yeah, I'm fine, just a little freaked out." The man smiled. "Mind if I take a look? I know a thing or two about car crashes." Rusty gestured for him to take over. He walked over to the front of the vehicle as she stepped back. She pulled her pocket knife out from her jacket and hid it in her sleeve. All the while, she looked around the back of her car to see what caused her to crash. "Doesn't look like the engine's damaged. Worst case scenario, you could probably limp your way to a mechanic," the man continued. "Yeah," Rusty said. She walked around to the passenger side of her car, and that's when she saw it. The remains of an upper torso ground up under the rear tire. She did everything she could not to gasp. Looking back at the man, he was still observing her car. A dead body caused her car to crash, and then this guy shows up. It was no coincidence. "My daughter had a similar crash a few years back," the man said. "You have a daughter?" Rusty asked, trying to keep calm so he doesn't catch on. "Yeah. My daughter Rhonda." Rusty's stomach dropped. Aaron Chase looked up from the car to see that Rusty had gone. Damn it! He felt a cold chill run down his spine. It was watching him, letting him know that he only had this chance, so he took off running. East parked his truck at the edge of the woods after taking it from home. He climbed out, armed with only his hunting knife, and walked into the forest. This is close to Rusty's phone, he thought. He walked further into the woods, tracking his girlfriend's phone, all the while he hoped Aaron didn't find her first. "Man, you've grown. You're sprouting like a goddamn weed," the voice said. East turned to see a man in his mid to late 20s with a strong build. He had long, dark brown hair, a black trench coat over top a Rolling Stones t-shirt, and cowboy boots. East couldn't help but notice the similarities to his own appearance, specifically the black coat and boots, and a scar on the side of his neck. 18 years old, built like an ox, knows how to fight. "Kid, you're just built differently, aren't you?" the man said. East raised his knife, expecting a fight. The man raised his hands to show he's unarmed. "Take it easy, son. I don't think I'm the one you want to kill," he cracked. East saw the man's nails. They were thicker than the average person's, more like that of a large cat or a bear. They were also exceptionally long, 3 inches at the most. The man noticed he was looking and decided to show them off. You like them? Doctors said it was a genetic disorder or some shit. I don't know. I don't really care. I think they're badass. Who the fuck are you? East asked. The man didn't answer. I've heard a lot about you, especially that little restaurant incident. He laughed. If you ask me, that kid needed to die. Sounds a bit fucked, but some kids are just born evil. No therapy, no parenting method. Nothing's gonna change that. Had the father not stepped in, it'd be one less serial killer in the world. East felt his hand shake. The man continued. And what about the father? You broke his leg and almost tried to drown him in fryer grease. I guess what people say about seeing red is true. I'm surprised Carl let you go. Back when I knew him, he was more by the book. How the fuck do you know Carl? East asked. And how the fuck do you know about me? Casually, the man reached into his pocket and pulled out a red chess piece. I'm just a guy with a red door who wants to paint it black. He flipped the piece around before tossing it to East, who let it hit him and dropped to the ground. Looking down, he noticed the piece was now black. The man ran his claws along a tree, leaving 5 deep cuts in the wood. When he smiled, East thought he saw a set of fangs, but he wasn't close enough to be sure. I'll ask again. Who are you? East stepped closer with the knife. The man wasn't even fazed. He lightly tapped the tip of the knife with his claws. I'm not the guy you want to use that knife on. Don't you have a girlfriend to save? East realized what that meant. He didn't like that this guy knew so much about him or his cryptic nature. But finding Rusty was more important, so he put the knife away and ran. Good luck, Romeo, the man called. I'll be watching. Rusty didn't have any idea where she was going. All she knew was that she was in the woods, and Aaron was probably right behind her. The only hope she had was that East would find her. She hated the idea of being so helpless and relying on her boyfriend, but there weren't any other options right now. So she ran, hoping and praying that East would find her. Rhonda? Aaron's voice called behind her. Just as she feared, he was chasing her. She ran faster, ignoring the burn that covered her entire body. Then the worst thing happened. She tripped. On what? On what? She didn't know. It could have been a root sticking out of the ground, could have been her own 2 feet, could have just been pure exhaustion. It didn't matter. She was on the ground, winded, and crawling away from Aaron. A boot almost stepped on her hand. Dreading the worst, Rusty looked up, only to see East. Oh, thank God. Rusty almost cried as East helped her up. Are you all right? He asked. We need to run, she said. East didn't hesitate. He took her arm and led her through the woods, where they eventually reached a clearing. My truck's just up here, he said. They got to the clearing when a gunshot went off. Both East and Rusty looked at themselves and each other for gunshot wounds. Nothing. It was a warning shot. Turn around, Aaron's voice ordered. They both did, to see him aiming a .38 special at them. Rhonda, come here, he commanded. Rusty didn't move. Rhonda! She stayed put. East stepped in front of her, causing Aaron to laugh at the bravery. Kid, grow up. This isn't some dumb fucking action movie. This is real life. Boy Scout heroes won't get you shit. East didn't move. Fine. You want a taste of the real world? Aaron dropped his gun, and East didn't waste a second. He charged Aaron and slammed him against a tree. He delivered punch after punch until Aaron managed to knee him in the chest. East dropped and Aaron delivered a kick to his head. He seemed down for the count, so Aaron walked past him towards Rusty. Stay away from me. Rusty brandished her knife. Aaron wasn't fazed. Rhonda, please. He took a step closer and she swiped at him, the blade cutting his hand. Aaron reeled back in pain and surprise. Son of a bitch! Rusty tried to stab him again, but this time he grabbed the knife and slapped her. I need to teach you some manners, young lady. Seems your mother hasn't been doing her job. Rusty spat in his face. Don't you talk about my mother. She tried to free herself to no avail. Aaron raised his hand to strike her again, but something grabbed him. He looked back to see East gripping his hand. Aaron tried to break free. When he couldn't do that, he released his grip on Rusty to try and fight some more. This time, instead of fighting back, East just snapped all 4 of Aaron's fingers. His agonizing screams were cut short when East punched him in the mouth. Aaron dropped to the ground and tried to crawl away. But East grabbed him by the hair and dragged him against a tree. He propped him up and severely beat him to a pulp in front of Rusty, who watched with a look of satisfaction. The onslaught continued with blood and teeth scattering everywhere. East didn't stop, not even when he and Rusty started to hear the cracking of bones. "East!" Rusty finally called. East stopped and dropped the bloody mess of a man. He walked over and gave her a hug. "Let's go," he said. "Wait." Rusty walked over to Erin. She didn't exactly know what she had in mind. Maybe she was going to kick him, punch him, something. East tried to stop her. "Rusty, you don't gotta do this. He can't hurt you." Rusty looked at him. "I need to do this." East nodded and let her go. She looked over Erin. In the short time she knew him, she learned everything she needed to know. Erin spit out a few broken teeth before looking up at her. Unlike before, the gold in his eyes were gone, and the man began to cry pitifully. After all that talk, he was nothing more than a blubbering mess. "I'm sorry," he sobbed. "You think you can just apologize after what you did?" Rusty asked. "It wasn't me," he said. "It forced me to do it, to hurt your mother." East walked over. At first he wanted to hurt him some more, but he looked in his eyes and saw they were blue instead of gold. He nudged Rusty. "Look at his eyes. The gold is gone. This was just like with Marty." Rusty noticed. That didn't make her trust or forgive Erin, but she wanted to know more. "How long? How long did it make you do this?" "Since I met your mother. It brings out the worst in people, or it finds the worst people and makes them do terrible things." Erin wept. "Why?" East asked. "It wants you, and it won't stop until it gets you. And if it can't, it'll take everyone you love." East and Rusty looked at each other. This was exactly what Marty said. East had a thought. Maybe he could be useful. If they got him to the police, he could give them information on how this thing works, and maybe help take it down. But after what he did, would Rusty want that? "Carl knows what I'm doing. If we take him to the police, he could help stop this thing." Rusty looked at him. "But that's up to you. We can leave him to die right here." Rusty looked back at Erin. She didn't have time to decide, for a monstrous howl coming from the woods directed their attention. Erin managed to stand up in the process. "Get out of here," he said. "You can't fight that thing," East said. "Let me do one thing right," Erin begged. Neither East nor Rusty argued. They turned and ran to East's truck. Erin picked up the gun that he dropped. He could hear the thing getting closer, though he couldn't see it yet. 5 shots, he thought. Better make it count.